Welcome to 100 Days of Code with Thier. My name is Shruti and we are in week 14 of 100 Days of Code with Thier. And this week we will be taking a look at truck routing. So get ready, open your IDs and let's get started. But before that, if you want to know more about 100 Days of Code, check the links in the description. We have links of what 100 Days of Code is. So there's a blog post which will tell you everything about it. If you do know what it is and if you want to look at previous days of codes or previous solutions, there are links to blog posts showing that. There are links to previous videos that we've published, as well as there is a link to the GitHub repository where you can just copy the repo and start with 100 days of code. So let's begin with day 66. So again, as we said, this week we're going to take a look at truck routing. And so it's pretty straightforward. Day 66 is that with the routing version 7 API, we are going to take a look at truck routing. Now in the previous examples, we looked at car routing, pedestrian routing, and bicycle routing, I guess. So this time we're going to look at truck routing. So let's go to the API reference section, go to calculate route. And within that, we know that we can specify the mode of transport and mode of routing as well. So with the mode parameter, we're going to take a look at routing mode type. And there you have truck routing as an option. So let's change our transport mode to truck. And let's keep the mode as shortest. And let's get rid of the park, but let's add the traffic mode. So let's keep traffic enabled. And one more thing that we talked about was having truck penalties. So again, go back to calculate route. And let's look at the parameter called truck restriction penalties. So what this means is when we are using truck routing, the certain roads have restrictions on trucks. Certain roads do not allow trucks of a certain size, or some city roads do not allow trucks to enter during the daytime, and so on and so forth. So when you are calculating a route, by default, the truck penalty that is taken is the strict penalty, which means if your route has restrictions on trucks, the route will not be considered while giving you a route from A to B. So with this, you can sort of set the truck penalty to soft or strict. By default, it is strict, but I'm just showing this to talk about the parameter as well. So let's add that. And now let's check our result. Okay, let's see, there's an issue in, so apostrophe was an issue. Let's get this started, and as you can see, you get two routes. So I had selected a route from Berlin to Magdeburg, and we have two routes, and the green route is the first preference, the orange route is the second preference, and we have traffic enabled. So in this way, just by changing the mode, you can get truck routes instead of the normal routes. If you want to see the difference, we can also see that if you do this as a car route, you'll get more routes. So that's because this road specifically is probably shut down for trucks right now. So let's get that back to trucks. And that's it for day 66. With day 67, we are going to look at another parameter with truck routing. So with truck routing, we looked at certain routes given to the truck by virtue of being a truck, right? And now we're going to look at a few more characteristics of a truck which can be included in while passing the parameters to get a proper route. So if you take a look at this page, which is in the guide section, you have truck routing. you'll see that initially we sort of talked about the truck routing mode. And then now we're going to talk about the truck profile. So with the truck profile, one of the first things you can see is, of course, something called shipped hazardous goods, which is you can specify what kind of goods the truck is carrying, and then the routing engine will give an appropriate row depending on what the truck is carrying. So let's quickly take a look at what that is. So let's go to calculate route and look for shipped hazardous goods. So this parameter clearly says this is for truck routing only. Where did the parameter go? So it says it's for truck routing only, and a list of hazardous materials in the vehicle. So you could sort of mention that the truck carries explosives, gas, flammable material, combustible material, etc., to indicate that give me a route which is appropriate. So this time we are going to select radioactive because the task said so, and include the radioactive materials as part of the goods that the truck is carrying. So let's include the parameter. Now the parameter is called shipped hazardous goods. Let's see. Let's bring this back. It's called shipped hazardous goods. And the property or the value would be radioactive. Now, once we save this, you should see some difference in the route if that particular route was not available for truck routing. But in cases of when you have more routes or when you have different specific routes, you will see the difference that certain routes won't be allowed for truck routing, and you would get a different route for that. So that was it for day 67. For day 68, we are going to consider another truck, a part of the truck profile. So we went to truck routing section in the routing V7 guide section. And so in the truck profile, you can see a few more parameters that define the truck profile, and one of them being the height of the truck. So again, when you have roads with tunnels built above them, or you have certain roads with flyovers or any other construction that would avoid a certain height of vehicle to not pass through, you need to take that into consideration while giving a route. So when you define the height of a truck, the routing engine automatically excludes all the routes that may not be right for the truck to go through. And so this can be done by simply mentioning the height of the vehicle. So let's do this quickly. In the calculate route section, you just have a parameter called height. I'm going to remove this, and let's say the height is 3. So now the height is mentioned in meters, and it can be anywhere between 0 and 50 meters. So I'm defining the height of my truck as 3 meters here, which sounds like a decent height for the truck. And again, you may not see the difference in this particular route, but you will definitely see it in certain other route. That's it for day 68. Once you have specified the height with day 68, with day 69, you're naturally going to get a few more details about the truck profile. So as we looked at the truck profile, we have the weight parameter, we have the length parameter, we have a few other parameters. So this time we're going to look at, for day 69, we're going to look at the trailer count, the axle count, length parameters. So what does that mean? So let's get to the calculate route section. Now The length parameter is pretty straightforward. It defines the length of the truck, and again it is in meters. So let's say our truck is 20 meters in length. Now, once you define the length of the truck, you may also want to define how many trailers it has, because the truck body alone cannot be, or in most cases, is not 20 meters, right? So we also assume that the truck has trailers, and the trailers can be defined in with the parameter trailer count. Also, when you have multiple trailers, you also can mention the axle count in the truck. So let's do that quickly. So we've already mentioned the length. Then let's check trailers. So you have trailers count. And let's say my truck has one trailer. Then let's take a look at axle count. So axle count is right next to it. And let's say the truck has 4 axles along with the trailers. So once you display, or once you define this, again, you can get a different route depending on what your endpoint is. So that was simple. That was it for day 69. And with day 70, we are going to complete the truck profile by adding the weight parameters. So let's get to it. Now we've defined the trailer count, the axle count, the length. Now let's define limited weight. So let's see what limited weight is. So limited weight is the weight including the shipped goods. Okay, we lost it again. Yeah, there we go. So limited weight is weight including the trailer, shipped goods, and this is done in tons. And so you can provide it between 0 to 100 tons. So let's get that in. So again, you need to also consider the weight of the goods actually carried. And I think I've removed the shipped hazardous goods parameter, but you can leave that in. So let's add this. So then let's say the limited weight of my truck is a 40-ton truck. And what else? So once you've said that the axle count is 4, you can also mention weight per axle. Now, why is this? So if you check weight per axle, certain roads also have limitations on how much weight per axle is allowed on that particular route. So we're going to mention that as well to help our routing engine give you a more defined or more customized path. So let's say this, and again, this is also done in tons. So weight per axle, let's say 10 tons. I'm dividing it quite equally, but this is not always the case. And so then you get a different route according to whichever. So if you see this, now you have another route which is permissible for your truck the more you mention the truck parameters. So that was it for week 14, and with that we have gotten a bit further into truck routing, and in the coming weeks we'll go deeper into logistics and routing with logistics. So keep following us on Twitter, keep following 100 Days of Code with Here. And if you have missed a few other solution videos or solution blog posts, the links are in the description. And hope you enjoy solving 100 Days of Code with Here. Keep following us, and happy coding.